All right, we are here at Phoenix Comic Con with Brian Buccellato. Is that your name?
Buccellato.
Buccellato. I feel stupid now. Thank you, Brian. You're awesome, man. Interview's all done. I have to go now. Nah, that's okay. All right, Brian, who are you and what do you do? For the few people that don't know.
For the few people that don't know.
There's like 5 of them, I think.
Okay. I am a writer and color artist. Currently, I am working on a little book called The Flash for DC Comics. You may have heard of them.
DC?
Yeah.
That's some kind of zaniness, man.
It is a zany little group of guys who make 52 comics every month, and The Flash is one of them.
Well, it's 51 now. They canceled Just League International.
They're going to replace them with something, so it'll be 52.
So it's not going to be the new 51?
I don't believe so. I haven't seen the logos for the new 51, so I'm not sure. So I work on that, and then I also have a creator-owned book called Foster, which is self-published. I wrote it. Noel Tuzan, a fine Canadian artist, draws it, and then I color it. And so my life is full of comics.
Is Noel here today, or is he too busy to come down?
No, he's up in Canada, keeping it down in Canada, you know.
Yeah, making sure that it stays where it is, doesn't go all zany.
Absolutely.
You know, the Canadians, they're just crazy.
They're zany.
Yeah.
Madcap.
And I know my friend. I know my friend Stephanie Chan works for Jim Bale and Mel. She's a nut. I don't trust her.
You can't trust Canadians.
I know they've got that conspiracy. All right, and what's the first book that you did? What was the first book you had published as an artist?
Well, I mean, I came up as a color artist, coloring comics in the 90s. So the first book I ever had pages done, I was working for my brother Steve, and it was Punisher Batman, I believe.
And he worked on Generation X as well with
yes,
with
absolutely. That first run with Scott Lobdell, we worked on Generation X, X-Men, Astro City, lots of stuff back in the 90s.
It's interesting because generally you'll see a lot of art, a lot of pencilers who are going to writing, but you don't seem to see that as much with colorists. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I know the world at large views me as the colorist who writes, but I'm really a writer who has been fortunate enough to earn a living coloring for the past 18 years.
That is really, really cool.
So yeah, so it's a case of now I'm finally having an opportunity to write in comics. So I would like to do that, and that's what I'm doing.
And what was the first book you wrote?
The first thing I ever published by myself is an issue of Darkness, Volume 2 for Top Cow. I think it was issue 21.
And that is really, really cool. I'm sorry, that was my favorite book when I was a kid.
Oh yeah? When you were a kid? You're dating me. Thanks, man.
I didn't read Generation X when I was 10.
Well, listen here, Whippersnapper. It was Volume 2, so that was like around 2004.
Okay, I was probably an adult by that point.
Yeah.
Physically.
Right.
And what was the first ongoing book that you were working on as a writer?
Well, I mean, Flash is the first chance that I've had to write a book for a major company as an ongoing. I co-write with Francis Manifold, of course.
Yeah.
So that was the first big break, so to speak, in comics.
And as someone who came in the industry, especially if someone with kind of a unique perspective, who as you said, a writer who also colored for 18 years. What kind of advice would you give for a young artist trying to get in the comic industry today?
Well, it all depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be a colorist, then you just have to get pages. You probably can get them on the internet and learn how to color. Brian Miller at Hi-Fi has a great book on coloring. Hi-Fi is over there somewhere. He's got a great book that teaches a lot of good skills on coloring. And then just keep coloring, do samples, don't just do splash pages, do like interiors, learn about mood lighting and all that kind of stuff, and then take your samples to conventions and show them around, and when you're ready, somebody will pick you up.
And what about as a writer?
As a writer, honestly, I think you have to bring something to the table in terms of name recognition, because no one's going to read your I guess fan fiction or your speculative comic book
Yeah.
If you write a great Avengers story, no one's going to ever read it. The editors will not read it. You won't get in that way. What you have to do is you have to actually self-publish your own stuff first.
Kind of like somebody like, you look at your book, Foster, and then you look at people like, say, Billy Tucci, who was publishing a book out of his kitchen for how many years? 20 years?
Look at Sam Humphries, right? I mean, he published some stuff by himself, and now he's working on some big books,
Exactly.
So I did it kind of the reverse way. Like, I got a book, big book, and then I published my own book. But normally, if you print your own comic, you can give that out and people will read it. Like editors and people looking for a talent, they'll read that. They're not going to read something that's a script, but they will read a finished comic book. Because in a way it shows that you're dedicated to actually writing a whole book, and it shows what you can do. So
exactly.
Self-publish.
And before we bring this interview to a close, would you say that thegeekden.com is the best website to go to for comic books, movies, video games, anime, and all that other crap you love?
If you asked me to say that, I would.
I will ask you to say that.
Okay.
Thegeekden.com.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thegeekden.com is the best website for comics and movie news and
all that other crap we love.
All that stuff that's geeky and good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott. We definitely appreciate you coming on.